Thank you, Secretary Rollins, for joining us today. That was incredible, and thank you for Matt doing what he does best. I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Matt is his ability to kind of glean insights from policymakers that you're not going to get if you just scan the headlines of kind of the news of the day. And so that was really great. My name is Matthew Sparks. I'm one of the co-founders of the ALFA Institute. We are a platform for ideas that enhance American life, and we believe that technology is the critical component to achieving that. And so we're thrilled to have Kate Van Dam here with us. Kate is the head of strategic markets for SkyFi. SkyFi is also a platform, but instead of one for ideas, it delivers satellite data to the U.S. government and numerous private enterprises, including agriculture and firefighting. So, Kate, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Some folks who are subscribers to ALFA, they might know you and SkyFi because we did a piece on Kate and SkyFi earlier this year. But for those in the audience that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about SkyFi, what you guys are building, and then we can kind of get into how it applies to agriculture?
Absolutely. First, I want to say it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you to Breitbart, to ALFA Institute, and to you, Matt. It's a great honor to be able to talk to all of you as well. I'm excited to share what we're building at SkyFi and really where we think this can help the American farmer. So SkyFi is a platform. I'll go ahead and give the pitch here. You can download the app right now on your phone and task a satellite while we speak. And it really came about because there's been this huge proliferation of commercial space over the last 10 to 15 years. But that has been hamstrung by the fact that the largest consumer of commercial space is the government. So you have these long acquisition cycles, you have commission-based sales, there's a huge minimum to play and a lot of ambiguity. And so one of our co-founders, Bill Perkins, who's an oil and gas trader, he essentially wanted to go to one of these older, we'll call them new space companies, and said, hey, I want to get a satellite image. You're overhead constantly, satellites don't take breaks, how much is it? And it became this entire 6-month negotiation for a single satellite image. And it seemed kind of crazy where you can buy a house online, a car online, but you can't buy a single satellite image. And then our other co-founder, Luke Fisher, he was a former Army Special Operations pilot, and he wanted to do a lot with all of this data that we're collecting. And so Bill and Luke met, they founded SkyFi, and what we've built is a platform. Early on, we invested in ex-Uber, ex-FinTech engineers. This is fundamentally important because we're not geospatial people making geospatial tools for other geospatial people. The idea is to bring this amazing technology to the user in a highly usable, scalable, and intuitive way. So we built SkyFi. You can task satellites. You can pull archive imagery from satellites. We've expanded. We can also, we integrate aerial imagery, atmospheric balloons. I know we may get into this if there's time, but we have a partner who essentially, the moment the smoke clears, the hurricane clears, goes out and flies planes. And this is high-resolution imagery that we're selling at 1 square kilometer for $25. And this we really saw this be really useful last year during hurricane season, during the LA fires. It allows the individual, and this is kind of my life goal, right? It gives the individual agency in their fortune. And that's really what we're doing. We further integrated analytics onto that are all pretty straightforward, everything in plain English. And the idea is, okay, pictures are pretty. It's fun to task a satellite, but so what? And so bringing the analytics into the platform has been our so what.
Yeah, I think when people think about satellites and satellite data, it's usually, government use case. So, we're here at an event with the Secretary of Agriculture. It's a kind of an agriculture-heavy focus, obviously. So can you talk a little bit about the use cases for America's farmers and ranchers using and obtaining this information?
Absolutely. So we do have government customers. We work in the defense and intelligence side, again, focusing on unclassified commercial data. But we're a dual-use company, so a lot of our commercial customers are commodity traders and agriculture. I'm going to give a few examples of how agriculture uses it right now with our customer base, and then we can get into kind of the vision for bringing this in a more useful way to the individual farmer. So first we can talk about ranching. So we have a cattle counting algorithm on the platform. And essentially what this does is this will take two types of satellite images. It'll take what's called electro-optical, so that's just like a picture that you take with your phone, and then thermal, pretty straightforward, right? You're looking for heat. This is used in feedlots. So traditionally you would pay somebody from the insurance company to come out, stand on a post and count. Well, now we can just take a picture from space, run it through an algorithm. And again, this reduces the manpower, it reduces the cost to the rancher. During calving season, especially when you have cows out to pasture, you definitely want to know what's going on, and you can count your cows, keep up with where they are, and you can determine if it's gotten larger, smaller. So it's kind of a use case that I got really excited about. And again, this is all run through an algorithm that's built by two former military veterans out of Stanford, put it together, and they're selling it. So we've got a lot of positive feedback with that. There's another type of satellite. It's called hyperspectral. So when you think of your physics class in high school, you've got your Roy G. Biv, the spectrum that you can see, but there's a huge amount of spectrum that you can't see, but different sensors can. And what you can detect with that is we've seen our customers use this for weed, invasive species. Everything has its own hyperspectral signature. So early on, you can start telling if there's an invasive species, if weeds are growing out, the health of your crops in general. And there's some really awesome hyperspectral satellites that were just launched a few months ago that we'll be integrating into the platform in the fall that will really provide a lot of ability to predict what's coming before it has a mass effect on your crops. And again, this is just a single satellite photo, right? And the final one is vegetation change detection. This is building a trend analysis. So our agriculture customers, usually they take a satellite image every 2 to 4 weeks. They can determine the health of the vegetation. So this is all based on pulling out the measurement of the chlorophyll in the leaves from space. The water index, you can see where different parts are flooding, and what you can do over time too is note a trend analysis. Okay, this part of my field is consistently wet, and maybe that's what's contributing to whatever the issue is. And there are a lot of more traditional ways to do this. Again, a lot of time it's experts that you're paying to come out to your farm, you're paying to come out to the field. And again, if you can put this very simply and very affordably in the hands of the individuals doing the hard work, that's really what we're aiming for.
It sounds like you guys are, it's like you're consolidating a lot of different people, companies that you would need to hire to tell you what exactly is happening on your farm, and then what might happen or is likely to happen in the future, all in kind of one interface. And so I guess a question I would have is, how aggressively have you guys been working with the ag community, small ranchers, small farmers, big ranchers, big farmers, and to what extent is there kind of like a cultural, what do you need to do to, get this to as many farmers and ranchers that need it, or want it rather?
No, I love this question because most of our agriculture business is with larger agriculture companies. Largest agriculture company in the US, the third largest in Asia, and they're using a lot of this, but these folks have geospatial teams, they have data scientists, and so they're taking a lot of the imagery, and we have this huge sensor diversity, as you said. We've lowered the barrier to entry to access, but what I want to do is lower the barrier to entry for expertise. So I'll give you kind of an example. We're working with the US military right now on a contract, and we have built a platform for this particular customer. These are not intelligence analysts. These are operators. I was a knuckle-dragging Marine, right? So they're folks like me who they weren't intel analysts. They weren't trained for this. And really what they've come to us and said, we need something easier. We don't know about phenomenologies, resolutions, and they shouldn't be expected to. So what we have built in that case is we have built a platform where we start with the problem and we're automating and building an AI process to solve it. What I would love to do, especially for the farmers of America, with Secretary Rollins' great comments on the commitment of this administration, is to build out a dashboard, ideally with a partner, USDA, whoever's the most appropriate one, build out a dashboard. This will give us the opportunity to build something that integrates those algorithms, right? Integrates those analytics in a way that it becomes highly usable. It's a one-stop shop. Because otherwise what you find, just from a business perspective, there's this great conference in Ecuador every year called Banana Time, right? And it's literally a geospatial conference for bananas, and it's so niche. But it doesn't need to be niche. It can be a very straightforward platform, simple and easy to use, extremely affordable. There's a lot of free data sets out there, and a lot of those algorithms that are counting vegetation health or water, those are also free. So really to just build something that folks can come to, they can intuitively use it. I would love to see that. And I think it will also cut down on a lot of money that they spend with those experts. And what gets me more excited too is we can integrate known sensors, right? So some of these tech-forward farmers, they'll put sensors in their field for various capabilities. All of those we can absolutely integrate into the platform as well.
That's incredible, and you can only imagine for the smaller farmers that don't have, resources are tight, and to free those resources up, free that time up to then focus on the business and the health and productivity of their crops is probably invaluable. Really, really quickly, I just want to touch on, because Forest Service as part of USDA, can you talk a little bit what you guys are doing to help firefighters and communities that are facing wildfire threat?
Yeah, absolutely. So disaster response is a huge opportunity for the satellite community. As I said, that aerial companies that fly afterwards. We have an extremely robust archive, which means you can essentially look before disaster. You can use a specific type of satellite that bounces a radar off the ground that can see through smoke. It can see through a lot of weather. So you can see during a disaster. Running analytics on top of that is very straightforward. And then finally, post-disaster. So we want to make sure that, yes, there's a lot of big federal level, state level agencies that want to use this, but putting that power and that knowledge into the hands of either the individual homeowner or those local, those local emergency responders, we've found a lot of utility in that. Everything from being able to look at roads, wear down trees. You don't have to waste somebody's time, gas and fuel in a fire to go up there and see it. You can see it from a satellite image. So there's a lot of safety that we can bring to emergency responders to keep their community safe, as well as that post-disaster cleanup.
Great. Well, thank you, Kate. I know Kate had a hellish travel to get here, so we're very happy that she stuck with it. So thank you all.